Good day, I am Drake598 and I am here today to do a revised tutorial on the Interrogator Chaplain for Space Hulk Deathwing. So we'll just go ahead and get stuck into that. This is for the multiplayer mode, or co-op mode. So let's start with armor. The first part of the armor is just basically looks. You can choose whatever you want, it'll just change your skin. The second part is going to be the cooldown reductions for your skills. Retribution is your invincibility and return damage shield for yourself. Litany of War gives you and your entire squad invincibility, and Call to Arms brings all the soldiers that are dead back to life. So all three of those have their uses. It depends on your playstyle and who you're partying with, and they all max out at a 20%. The next part is what I do tend to run a character name with. I tend to run Acid Reduction, as they are the Bioblast strains, and they'll run up to you and explode. They're a lot harder to avoid than, say, the Plasma, Laser, or Missiles. And the Thorax Swarm just drains your stamina, so it's not as important. I tend to also run everybody else with Armor, as you'll get more out of Armor in the long run than you will out of the melee bonus or the ranged bonus. So, moving now on to weapons. You have the standard Stormbolter and the Stormbolter MK2. I don't really feel I'm going to need to explain about them because every class has access to those. The Interrogator Chaplain has a similar loadout in weapons to the Tactical Specialist. He does have access to the Heavy Flamer and the Spear of Caliban, which are both great weapons for this class. He does also have access to the Redemption, Pattern Bolter, which is like a shotgun, the Lightning Claws, Power Fist, and of course the Crucius Arcanum. So with the weapons, I tend to stick pretty much all my weapons just with the basic bioscanner. It will highlight organic life forms. You can get the Detect Invisible if you're struggling to see those guys. Otherwise there is an Amplify Dark as well. And tactical scopes go right up to 3 times. It's pretty much whatever preference you have. Same with emblems, and reliability and high capacity are going to be the same on pretty much all your weapons. The Crucius Arcanum is one of the 2 main weapons you'll see, or close combat weapons you'll see. The Interrogator Chaplain run. The other one is the Power Fist, and probably the 2 primary weapons you'll see people use is the Heavy Flamer and the Spear of Caliban. Just for sheer damage output at close range with the Heavy Flamer, or burst potential at mid to short range with the Spear of Caliban. The Crucius Arcanum is going to depend on your perks, or at least I feel it should. So moving on to perks. This is sort of where the Interrogator Chaplain can kind of shine. He has access to Avenger, which increases Retribution's time by 3 seconds. A lot of people do use that skill, and it is quite good. Personally, I tend to use Leader over that, which gives Litany of War a 5-second increase, and that gives everybody an invincibility shield, not just yourself, although it doesn't return the damage. 2 other common perks you'll see used with him is the Redeemer, which increases the Crucius Arcanum's attack speed and armor penetration by 30%, and Ruthless, which allows him to sprint 3 times longer. Also, you'll see people using Resilience as well, which increases each body part by 30%, so your head, your left arm, your right arm, your legs, and your torso. Most of the rest you won't see people run. It is pretty much purely on your own personal preferences. So we will just quickly have a look at a couple of different builds now. So we're just going to quickly do a Chapter 6 mission on the hardest difficulty. So this is essentially the Crucius Arcanum build. It requires your perk slot the Crucius Arcanum, and then you only have access to the Stormbolter or the Stormbolter MK2. It is basically turning your character into a melee unit rather than a long range, as you're sacrificing access to the Heavy Flamer and the Spear of Caliban. It depends on your own personal choices. Each have their own place. A lot of people do swear by this build. Personally, I'm not one of them, but it does have its advantages, I will say that. So we'll just get into combat. That's why it's good to have the secondary range. As you can see, it's a very effective weapon. And you still have access to shooting. So the build for that is the Perk Redeemer, which increases your Crucius attack speed and armor penetration. You can choose whatever armor you like. You can set up your Crucius however you like. I tend to go for speed over damage just because you'll be able to interrupt the blocks and attacks and parries. You will be limited to your Stormbolter MK1 or the Stormbolter MK2. The MK2 having a lot increased fire rate but less accuracy. So the next build we're going to have a look at is the Leader build, which is taking the Leader perk, which extends Litany of War's skill effect by 5 seconds, and taking the Litany of War cooldown reduction. After that you can choose whatever weapons you like and whatever sort of layout you like. You can take the Crucius. It won't be as effective without the perk, so I tend to take the Power Fist, but that's personal choice. So with the Leader setup, you are more a support character, secondary support. Your invincibility will be coming up for your entire squad fairly often, and it will be extended out to 8 seconds. I tend to go for the Spear of Caliban for that extra long reach, and the Power Fist, as you are not quite as tanky and you will be more a support base. So the next build we'll look at is the Avenger build, which is taking the Avenger perk for the increased retribution and making sure you have redemption chosen as your cooldown. I tend to go for the Heavy Flamer and the Power Fist on this build, as you are more tanky and you will be more of a frontline fighter rather than needing to rely on range or anything like that. So this class's primary function will be either as a frontline or bringing up the rear with the Flamer. You'll get more out of the Flamer if you use short bursts rather than just long and holding the trigger down. It will last a lot longer. Retribution will never come up as fast as the Leader perk, but it does have the benefit of lasting longer without the perk by itself and actually returning damage. Redemption build sort of shines. Going up against a big guy and just returning damage, or being able to tank a good chunk of it. And why I tend to use the Flamer. And the final build for the Interrogator Chaplain really is either the Ruthless build or the Resilient build. The Resilient build basically just being you're as tanky as possible to revive your squad mates as often as sort of possible. And the Ruthless is just the 3 times run speed, so you can not sprint duration, so you can run 3 times longer. You'll normally see a call to arms reduction with the Resilient build. Otherwise you can choose whatever you like, it's all just personal preference. Same with weapons. So the Chaplain is probably the second character you'll see normally hosting matches, if not the Apothecary, as he can revive the entire squad. So I'm not really going for relics on this quick little run, as it's mainly just to kind of show off a couple of the different builds. Fail. And really where the Interrogator Chaplain is going to shine is going to be in squads, resurrecting his allies, keeping allies alive with the squad invincibility, tanking damage as well, depending on your build setup. But a lot of that is going to depend on what your squad mates are running or your personal preferences, really.
Mission confirmation received. The ship will open fire once you've evacuated the area.
So this has been my quick little tutorial video on the Interrogator Chaplain, a couple of the different builds and a quick test on the same difficulty and hardware as all the rest. I do hope that you have found this video helpful. If you do, feel free to like, share, subscribe. It would help out greatly. Thank you very much.